Hello, and welcome to another episode of Crizzy Books. I'm Crizzy, or Criz, but only my werewolves call me Criz. And today I'm going to be doing a review for Cycle of the Werewolf by Stephen King. As a young lad growing up, I used to see this book on the shelf at my library. Shout out to the Chatham Public Library. And it just looked so cool to me. I loved the cover. And then opening this bad boy up, it had some of the coolest illustrations and art I've ever seen. It was violent and bloody and just badass. I loved it. This was long before I'd ever read a single King novel. And it would be a long time before I actually picked one up. And now look at me. I've read over 20 of his books. I know, that's a lot. And he's easily probably my favorite author. But I've never actually read this one, which is weird because I think werewolves are cool as hell. I love stories about things like the Beast of Javaldon or the Michigan Dog Man. Something so cool about a dude turning into a wolf man at every full moon and just going around and eating people. I love it. But I did it. I finally read it, so let's get into it. Every chapter of this book is about a different month of the year, so we start in January all the way to December. It takes place in a small Maine town called Tarker's Mill, and each full moon of each month, a member of the town is brutally murdered. And the townsfolk can't quite figure out what's going on. Obviously, we know as a reader that this is a werewolf. But the town is in a tizzy, and each month it just keeps happening. In typical small town fashion, they're ignoring what's right in front of their face. They start saying that this is some kind of serial killer, the full moon killer they're calling it, just completely ignoring all of the signs. Until in July, a boy in a wheelchair sneaks out of his house to set off fireworks that his uncle gave him. While everybody else is asleep, and the beast appears. So he throws some firecrackers at its face, takes out one of its eyes, and it runs away. After this, the killings kind of quiet down for a little bit, and just livestock are getting mauled to death. But the boy has figured out who this werewolf is. It's the local preacher. We get to the very end of the year, December 31st, the boy in the wheelchair and the preacher collide. The boy kills him. And that's pretty much the end of the book. He puts 2 silver bullets in him, and he changes from a werewolf back to a man and dies on his living room floor, thus ending the cycle of the werewolf. And I really liked this. It's really short for Stephen King, like really short. It's like novella length. It could even maybe be classified as a short story. But I thought it worked really well. When it comes to the actual story itself, I really love the structure of each chapter being a month of the year, and we get to see each slang happen every month. And it's cool because you get this really small, short build-up of following the person who's about to get murdered. And the brutality of each one, like, it's really no holds barred. At one point, he rips the face off of a dude just by swiping him, and it's really bloody and violent. One of his victims is a kid flying a kite. And it just really does not care who it is or what it is. And this is just a straight-up horror book. It's really more concerned with the creature and the attacks than it is with building up characters and developing things like that. It's a creature feature, essentially. And a mystery, because we kind of are only getting bits and pieces of who this person actually might be, which is cool. And for the shortness, I thought it moved perfectly, and it gave you just enough time to care about the people and what was happening. When getting into the characters, obviously this is a Stephen King book. You expect some type of characterization and development, and he does that here, even in the short amount of time that we're given. There's probably like 3 characters in this that I would say really matter. We have Marty, the boy in the wheelchair, who is our main character, I guess. We have the preacher, and then we have Marty's uncle, who is given a little bit more time, but really it's Marty and the preacher, and then maybe his uncle. And we get a lot of detail and humanization out of them, which I really like. It made me care more about what was going on. I like that Marty is in a wheelchair. It gives him this different angle that you don't normally see very often. He's brave, he's capable, and he takes down a werewolf all by himself while his full-grown uncle is shitting his pants beside him. I love that the werewolf was the preacher. It's just this cool thing of, you know, the man of God in town is actually this horrific murdering monster. And I just think that King understands small town mentality really well. Like I said earlier, there's just all the signs are there. Everybody knows what's going on, and yet none of them will actually say it because to them it sounds crazy. And so they treat this situation as if it's something else. Or just blatantly ignoring it. I mean, even after Marty says that he blew the werewolf's eye out, and a certain man in town just starts wearing an eye patch, they act like, nah, no big deal, no connection at all, just coincidence. And even things about, like, Milt and his abuse of his wife and how everybody knows about this and no one seems to care, and it really is this feeling of who's the real monsters here. And I'm really glad that Milt got his. He had that coming, piece of shit. And I can't leave this out, but the art in this is so awesome still to this day. It's not just nostalgia. These illustrations by Bernie Wrightson are amazing. I love them. Even if it is nostalgia, go ahead and just inject a shot of that right into my vein, baby. Overall, I'm going to give Cycle of the Werewolf a 4 out of 5. Very solid, very fun, very short. I think that there's a lot of media that gets werewolves wrong, and so it's nice to get a story that actually gets it right. It's good. Recommend it. But what do you think? Have you read Cycle of the Werewolf? How? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Sound off in the comments below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to my channel, please. And as always, thank you for watching. Bye.